Pisces, this week is about the weight you carry because you can feel it, not because it truly belongs to you. Your card is the Ten of Wands, and it speaks to responsibility, burden, overextension, completion, duty, and the point where capability becomes an excuse for carrying too much. There are no verified astrological events supplied for this week, so the reading does not need an invented cosmic explanation for exhaustion. The tarot is enough. The Ten of Wands asks a grounded question: which burdens are meaningful responsibilities, and which ones have become habits of overfunctioning? Your central thesis is this: being able to carry something does not automatically make it yours to carry. Pisces can be deeply responsive to other people's needs, moods, expectations, and unspoken discomfort. You may notice what is missing before anyone asks. That sensitivity can make you generous. It can also make you the unofficial holder of tasks, emotions, and problems that were never formally assigned to you. The Ten of Wands does not tell you to abandon responsibility. It tells you to make responsibility conscious. In love, this card may reveal an imbalance in emotional labor. If you are in a relationship, ask whether you are managing the atmosphere, anticipating needs, preventing conflict, remembering details, and absorbing tension for both people. Love can include care, but care should not require one person to become the emotional infrastructure of the relationship. If you are single, notice whether you enter connections already prepared to prove your usefulness. You may offer understanding, flexibility, availability, or rescue before mutual trust has been established. Ask whether the other person is also showing capacity to carry their side of the bond. Pisces, compassion is not the same as responsibility. You can understand why someone behaves a certain way without making yourself responsible for fixing the consequences. At work, the Ten of Wands is a direct warning about invisible workload. You may have become the person who catches gaps, helps everyone, accepts last-minute requests, or quietly finishes what others leave incomplete. Because you are capable, the system keeps working. That can hide the fact that the system is unfair. This week, make invisible work visible. Track what you are actually carrying. Ask which tasks belong to your role, which are temporary favors, and which have become permanent through silence. You may fear that setting a boundary will create disappointment or chaos. Perhaps it will create some discomfort. But discomfort can reveal where the current arrangement depends on your overextension. With money, the Ten of Wands can represent financial obligations that have multiplied. You may be paying for convenience because you are too tired to plan, supporting others beyond what is sustainable, or carrying several small commitments that together create significant pressure. Do not approach the problem through shame. Make a list. Which expenses are necessary, which are chosen, which are temporary, and which can be ended? Weight becomes easier to manage when it has names. In health and energy, this card is especially literal. Your body may be carrying the cost of constant responsibility. Fatigue, tension, irritability, and emotional flatness can be signals that your load exceeds your recovery. Rest is important, but rest alone will not solve a workload that immediately recreates exhaustion. The deeper intervention may be subtraction. Wednesday is about inventory. Write down every responsibility currently taking space in your mind, including the small ones. Do not organize yet. Just make the load visible. Thursday is about ownership. Mark each item as mine, shared, or not mine. Be honest. Some tasks may feel like yours only because nobody else has stepped forward. Friday is about delegation or refusal. Move one shared item toward actual sharing, or return one not mine item to the person, system, or situation where it belongs. Saturday is about recovery without productivity. Choose one period of rest that is not secretly being used to plan, research, organize, or emotionally manage someone else. Sunday is about meaning. Identify the responsibilities you genuinely choose because they reflect love, purpose, or values. Not all weight is bad. Chosen weight can be meaningful. Monday is about simplification. Combine, automate, postpone, cancel, or reduce one recurring obligation. Tuesday is about completion. Finish one burden that has been lingering and consciously remove it from your mental list. Let completion feel like release rather than simply making room for another task. Your first journal prompt is, what am I carrying because I chose it, and what am I carrying because I noticed nobody else would? Your second journal prompt is, which responsibility would become healthier if it were shared, reduced, or returned? Your third journal prompt is, what am I afraid will happen if I stop proving my value through usefulness? For your weekly guidance, create a 10-wand transfer. Write 10 current burdens on 10 separate slips of paper. Put them in front of you. Sort them into 3 piles: keep, share, release. You must place at least 2 slips outside the keep pile. Then take one real-world action for each of those 2 slips within 48 hours. Send the delegation message, cancel the obligation, ask for help, renegotiate the deadline, or stop volunteering for the task. Your assignment is to make the symbolic transfer physically true. The Ten of Wands also asks you to examine the emotional reward of overfunctioning. Carrying too much can create identity. You become the reliable one, the compassionate one, the person who can handle anything. That identity may be admired. It may also make receiving help feel uncomfortable. If you are always the helper, being helped can feel like losing control or becoming indebted. This week, notice whether you reject support before evaluating it. Receiving is not the opposite of generosity. It is part of reciprocity. There is also a boundary between empathy and absorption. You can sit beside someone's pain without putting it on your own back. You can care about a family member's problem without making it your project. You can support a colleague without completing their responsibility. You can love someone without preventing them from experiencing the consequences that teach them. Pisces, the Ten of Wands often appears near completion. That matters. Some responsibilities are heavy because they are almost done. Do not abandon what genuinely belongs to you simply because you are tired. Instead, distinguish between the final push of chosen commitment and the endless drag of obligations that never should have become yours. Ask which burdens have an end point. If there is no end point, there must be a boundary. Your sensitivity is not a contract. Your competence is not permanent consent. Your compassion does not require unlimited access to your energy. This week, let lightness become a legitimate goal. You do not need to earn rest by reaching collapse. You do not need a crisis to justify asking for help. You do not need to wait until resentment proves the load was too heavy. When you put down what is not yours, you create more strength for what actually matters. There is one more burden that may be difficult to recognize: emotional forecasting. You may spend energy imagining who will be upset, what someone will need, how a conversation might go, or how to prevent disappointment before it happens. None of that labor is visible, but it can be exhausting. This week, notice when you are solving a problem that has not actually occurred. Preparation can be useful, but emotional pre-management can become a way of carrying other people's future reactions in advance. Let adults have their own responses. Let situations reveal what they actually require. The Ten of Wands also asks whether your standards for being a good person have become impossible. If kindness means never disappointing anyone, never needing help, never changing your mind, and always having enough energy to give, kindness has turned into self-erasure. A healthier standard may sound like this: I can be loving and limited. I can be dependable and still say no. I can care deeply without becoming responsible for every outcome. That is not less compassionate. It is compassion built to last. Lightness is allowed to matter. You can choose less. Your affirmation this week is: I carry what is mine with love and release what was never mine to hold. Carry that with you through August 18th. Subscribe so your next weekly reading is waiting for you. Trust the timing. The stars have spoken.